Alright. Hey. I apparently have a bad... Me and Thursdays apparently don't get along very well. Alright, so we left off with Burn Castle's silly little tea party. Hosted by Lambda and Aurora, I guess. And how to trap a witch. Cornelia's new job. And Valentine stories. Anyway, this one we're starting off with is Valentine's Day letters. Valentine's Day letters have arrived for Battler. Each contains a heartfelt message. Alright. I apologize for disturbing you, Battler-sama. I've held on to these Valentine's letters from everyone. Oh? Is that so? Let me see. Oh? We've got 7 of them, huh? An actual choice. We'll start with this one, I guess. To our magnificent and stunning territory lord. As furniture, nothing pleases me more than working for your majesty and gradually gaining your trust. However, do you think it's above a furniture station to wish for trust even greater than this? I am Mammon of Greed. I am covetous furniture who wishes to be the only woman reflected in your eyes. From the 5th eldest of the 7 sisters of Purgatory, Mammon, offering her love and desiring yours. Alright, so with you. To His Majesty, the Territory Lord and the Master of the Game Board. On account of Valentine's Day, and as the representative of the 7 Sisters of Purgatory, hello, welcome. I apologize for yesterday. I slept straight through it, the whole thing. Woke up at like 7:30. It's just, yeah, I'll get back to that in a bit. On account of Valentine's Day, and as the representative of the 7 Sisters of Purgatory, I hereby present an offering of chocolate, as well as an oath of our eternal allegiance. From the eldest of the 7 Sisters of Purgatory, Lucifer, with love and loyalty. P.S. Given your order, I would be honored to become a chair, candlestand, cat, carpet, furniture, or even slave for your sake. My lord, please use this lowly piece of furniture however you wish. Alright. Of course, it's food related. To His Majesty, the Territory Lord and the Master of the Game Board. I thought that your Majesty deserved only the best chocolate, so I taste-tested countless varieties in search of the greatest chocolate delicacy. From the 6th eldest of the 7 Sisters of Purgatory, Beelzebub, with love and cocoa. P.S. The greatest chocolate was truly amazing. After tasting it, I just couldn't help myself. I ate the whole thing, so the chocolate I've sent here is the 2nd most delicious variety. I'm sorry. Oh. To His Majesty, the Territory Lord and the Master of the Game Board. I have melted my heart into this chocolate. In fact, had it been possible, I would have wanted to become your Majesty's chocolate myself. Because in that case, when your Majesty would have eaten me, I could have entered your mouth and lolled around your soft, warm tongue, filling your mouth with ample pleasure. From the youngest of the 7 sisters of purgatory, Asmodeus of love, passion, and melancholy. Alright. To His Majesty the Territory Lord and the Master of the Game Board, I have given chocolate to many men, but all of it has been demonic chocolate designed to deprive helpless men sink further and further into sloth year after year. Your Majesty, however, keeps tirelessly improving himself. The Valentine's chocolate I'm offering is not hiding a trap of sloth, but my heartfelt feelings. From the 4th eldest of the 7 sisters of purgatory, Belphegor, with love and respect. A relatively short one, I guess. To the Territory Lord, who probably already received a ton of chocolate from others. Although my chocolate may be only one of the many that you've received, I still spent all possible effort to pour my heart into making it. But even if my chocolate is just an insignificant part of a huge pile, that's fine. I just hope that among the countless loving eyes gazing at you, you won't forget the ruby-colored pear that would so easily fly into a jealous rage. From the 2nd eldest of the 7 sisters of purgatory, Leviathan, with love and jealousy. I think we've got this one left. Can't remember which of those we did. Well, let's read them again if we haven't. To His Majesty, the Territory Lord and the Master of the Game Board, on account of Valentine's Day and as a representative of the 7 Sisters of Purgatory, I hereby present an offering of chocolate as well as an oath of our eternal allegiance. From the eldest of the 7 Sisters of Purgatory, Lucifer, with love and loyalty. P.S. Given your order, I would be honored to become chair, candlestand, carpet, furniture, or even slave for your sake. My lord, please use this lowly piece of furniture however you wish. Too many sisters. And yeah, see, that was Lucifer's. They've got the buttons mixed. That's why it was off. To His Majesty, the Territory Lord and the Master of us 7 sisters. My worthless sisters have undoubtedly included some shameless letters along with the chocolates they have sent you. However, my sisters are not at fault for this. All the blame lies with me and my sorely lacking guidance. My humblest apologies. If anyone is to be reprimanded, it should be me. I am prepared to receive any and all criticism. From the 3rd eldest sister of the 7 Sisters of Purgatory, Satan, with love and apologies. There we go. I feel like a bad person. There's still many more letters. Alright. Alright, we'll start with on the left side this time. To His Majesty, the Territory Lord of Fragment, number blank. From the 4096 Infantry of the Chester Sister Imperial Guards. The purpose of this letter is not only to celebrate Valentine's Day, but also to express my deep respect and affection for your Majesty. The enclosed chocolate has passed the inspection of the medical team of the Imperial Guards. Please enjoy it at ease. Chester 00. This has passed the medical inspection. Please enjoy it. To His Majesty, the Territory Lord of Fragment X. From the 4096 Infantry of the Chester Sister Imperial Guards. Friendship chocolate that gets scattered around to everyone is like the Valentine shotgun. True love chocolate that strikes with perfect accuracy is like the Valentine sniper rifle. The chocolate I sent you, which one do you think it is? Yeah. Chester 410, yeah. To His Majesty, the Territory Lord of Fragment Number X. From the 4096th Infantry of the Chester Sister Imperial Guards. Thank you very much for everything. I actually wanted to send you handmade chocolate, but because of the chocolate terrorism incident last year, there was a ban on putting homemade chocolate in the mail this year. I put my heart into choosing the chocolate most suitable for your Majesty's tastes. It would be my honor if you found it satisfactory. Chester 45. To His Majesty the Territory Lord of Fragment Number X, for the 4096th Infantry of the Chester Sister Imperial Guards. I hope my feelings of gratitude and the accompanied chocolate reach you well. As you have, please allow the Chester Sister Imperial Guards to remain in your thoughts. There are only girls in Imperial Guards, so this custom is new to me. Have I followed proper Valentine's Day etiquette with my letter? If you find the time to let me know, thank you very much in advance. Chester 556. Postscript. The fortune slip that I pulled at a shrine the other day said that I was in for terrible luck. I should take care of my next mission. Just a bit, y'all. Start with Gertrude. Dear Sir, lately the cold weather has been ever increasing in its intensity. I presume that your Majesty has been holding on to good health. In celebration of St. Valentine's Day, allow me to send you this chocolate expressing my most humble respect and admiration. Senior Aide Gertrude. P.S. I recently started raising a cat. It's very cute. I was wondering, is your Majesty more of a cat person or a dog person? I'm more of a cat person. Dear Sir, if I may humbly state, during this cold season with the first signs of springtime only just beginning to approach us, know that huddling inside a kotatsu is a most blissful experience. Owing to the chocolate terrorism incident last year, a great number of sympathizers seeking to overthrow this event out of jealousy have since risen. A notice regarding this criminal activity has already been issued. As a defender of the law, I shall endeavor to engage in my duties with ever-growing enthusiasm. Aide Cornelia. For your information, Inquisitors of Heresy are required to utilize court language even when writing letters. Should any difficulties arise upon reading, I offer my sincerest apologies. In celebration of St. Valentine's Day and to express my gratitude, I'm sending you this chocolate. Rather than sending, I'd much prefer to be receiving chocolate on Valentine's Day. I like chocolate a lot. Because I'm a kid. Hot chocolate, I hate. Because I keep spilling it. It's too difficult to wash it off. Whenever I run my letters by Gertrude, she keeps telling me to rewrite them many times over. It's really annoying. This year, I'm sending this letter in secret before Gertrude finds out. Head Inquisitor of Heresy, Dillinor A. Knox. Oh my god. Uh-huh. Well, alright, let's get to it. It's St. Valentine's Day. Have you been enjoying yourself so far? I certainly have. No surprises there. After all, today is the day when it's alright to hunt down late-blooming boys with the sweet poison of chocolate. I never let escape any prey that I've set my eyes on. That's right. This chocolate here isn't just any old Valentine's chocolate. Who knows? Perhaps I'm warning you about a crime that's about to occur. There's a hesitant wander lost in the meadows of love. You. Try your best to avoid being bitten by me. The hunter of love, Zepar. It's St. Valentine's Day. Have you been doing all right lately? There's no day when chocolate melts as sweetly in your mouth as it does today. Please, no matter how small a piece of chocolate you may be eating, remember to savor the feelings packed in it to the fullest. Now, the chocolate you received, do you still think it's just simple friendship chocolate? If you'd say it's something more, you've come to understand the heart of a girl who can't hide her blushing face. All of my chocolates are, naturally, confessions of true love. For you show-offs with your big talk about not needing love or women, I'll give you a body that can't live without love anymore, so be prepared. The trainer of love is a power. Shouldn't Furfur be on there somewhere? What's wrong with the chocolate? It wouldn't have anything unusual in it. I'll pass. I don't think I can eat this chocolate. It doesn't look like you want to eat it. But why? Look at this. Happy Valentine! And, oh, what a pity. Sorry, not sorry, but I munched down that whole delicious pile of chocolate that was sent to you. Now that I've got my eye on you, that's the end of it. Just so you know, you're not getting your grabby mitts on girls' chocolate ever again. Oh well, admittedly, I did feel a little sorry for you, so I left just a smidgen of chocolate as a present. You better remember to show your gratitude to my merciful self. Actually, I was going to give you handmade chocolate, but I ended up making it so delicious that I ate all myself. So I figured that this chocolate that I bought its ingredient was plenty good enough for you anyway. The Golden Witch Beatrice. I guess this just isn't my year. Please, accept my lady's feelings as much as you can. Well, sometimes chocolate can be useful as an ingredient. Thank you very much. Finally, here's chocolate and a letter from Angie-sama. Huh? Even from Angie? To Oni-chan. I'm sure that even someone like you received a ton of Valentine's chocolate this year. A lot of it seems probably pretty suggestive, but don't get too excited about it. Unlike back in your days, it's not that uncommon for girls these days to exchange chocolate between friends like it's no big deal. So just because my homemade chocolate kind of resembles a heart, you better not be making any kind of weird, lecherous faces about it. From your dear little sister, Angie. Umineko no Naku Koro ni Tsubasa. A lot of Valentine stuff. Much more so than an American would put interest in. Yeah, in America, Valentine's is one day a year, and then we kind of forget about it. There's no whole month-long wait for chocolate to be returned type stuff. And a lot of people mostly just worry about the day after Valentine's Day when all that candy goes on like incredible sales because they can't get rid of it because the holiday's over. Anyway, to Mount Purgatory, Sakutaro. Sakutaro awakens to find himself at Mount Purgatory. Just what trials await him. How long have I been here, I wonder? It seems different from when I awoke from my slumber, because this wasn't in the warm futon or the basket filled with stuffed animals. Sakutaro, Mount Purgatory. It was bleak, and I could see the base of a rocky mountain. No grass is growing, a naked rock face. Who am I? Where is this place? You are Maria's treasured stuffed lion, Sakutaro. With that voice, I remembered everything. That's right. I am the stuffed lion, Sakutaro. Why am I here? Where's Maria? As I remembered things one by one, I remembered my final memory. So what kind of place this was, I naturally guessed. This mountain is Mount Purgatory. You're now at the base of it. The witch Virgilia, one of the witches who gave me a soul. Miss Witch, I want to go back to where Maria is. If I don't go back, Maria surely won't stop crying. How can I go home? If you arrive at the summit of the mountain, you can probably go home. However, that is a very terrible trail. If I endure that trial, I'll be able to return to where Maria is? You will. But it's too horrible a thing. If I can go back to where Maria is, I'll do whatever is necessary. Virgilia told me how fearful the trial of Mount Purgatory was, but I am composed, because if that was the only path to return to Maria, I had no reason not to follow it. I, with a clenched fist grasping tightly cotton and cloth and seam, began to ascend Mount Purgatory. This is the first rank, the place where the sin of pride is purified. Look, those who committed the sin of pride in their lives are forced to continue walking with a heavy stone on their backs. Virgilia told me that hereupon the demons of Mount Purgatory would detect me. She said, "You have the sin of pride. If you don't purify that sin, you cannot go higher." What kind of sin of pride do I have? You have decided that without you, Maria will be helpless. For a stuffed animal, that is awfully conceited. You have a sin of pride. So here, until I say it's enough, you will continue to be burdened with a rock. I had at the beginning probably thought perhaps doing so for nearly 1 hour would be enough to attain forgiveness. I understand. I am someone who died. That is, because I will be revived, there's no way I'd be forgiven so easily. I understand. Until Demon-san says it's enough, I will persevere. The heavy rock matched my size. No, I was assigned a stone. If I shouldered this thing, I would become dusty. But, for Maria's sake, I had to return home as soon as possible. I picked up the big stone, together with the crowd of the dead, forever going round and round. We continued to circle the first rank of Mount Purgatory. I had to return to Maria's sake, didn't I? Surely that wasn't wrong. I wanted to return to where Maria was. That was what made Demon-san mad, wasn't it? I'll do my best. Every day, without rest, I shouldered the rock and continued to walk around and around. Sakutaro, you worked hard. Your sin of pride has been purified. Demon-san, thank you. May I ascend? Yes. Isn't that good, Sakutaro? Come, let us ascend. Virgilia had, the whole time, waited for my trial to finish. In addition to that, for 2 years. I was so dusty that even if I washed it with water, it wouldn't go away. Rather than a yellow lion, I'd become a brown bear, where it won't come to hate you if you're just a little dirty. Come, let's ascend. This is the second rank. It is a place where jealous people must walk around with their eyelids sewn shut. I I was again called to a halt by a demon. You have always been jealous of Maria's relationship with her mother. Until that sin has been purified, you will not be permitted to ascend. Certainly, that might be true. When Maria would enjoy watching TV with her kind mama, I was on Maria's lap. But even then, even though Maria only spoke with mama, I could not say that I was never jealous. Oh, you. That is also my sin. I will also endure this trial. Because you're a stuffed animal, you don't have eyelids, any eyelids, do you? So how about this? Let's pluck off the black fabric that makes up your eyes. The eyes that Maria praised as being so cute were plucked off in an instant. From the cut-up holes, it seemed as though the cotton inside might come spilling out. Cotton is precious. If I don't have it, I'll become not fluffy and unable to please Maria. Pushing it in with both my hands, I unsteadily, while crawling along the rock surface, challenged the new trial. The second rank's trial also took 2 years. You bore it well. Your sin of jealousy is purified. Come, let us restore your eyes. The demon returned the black fabric of my eyes, which had been plucked from me, and sewed them back on. It was pretty shoddy. My face had somehow changed considerably. And so, because for such a long time I'd crawled around, the white fabric of my stomach seemed to have become completely black and worn out. But I will persevere. I will definitely return to where Maria is. Uryu. This is the third rank, the place where the sin of wrath is purified. You, as a stuffed animal, have resented Maria and Rose's relationship. Until that sin is purified, you will not be permitted to ascend. This is the fourth rank, the place where the sin of sloth is purified. You passed days with Maria enjoyably, stole both Maria's independence and her opportunities to study. You influenced her to be lazy. Until you purify that sin, you will not be permitted to ascend. Those trials also took a long time to complete. At the third rank, in the middle of terribly heavy smoke, while choking violently, I was made to pray constantly. Because it was smoky the whole time, I thoroughly stank of smoke. That smell would no longer come out. Maria hated the smell of cigarette smoke, so I'm kind of sad. In the fourth rank, I was made to run round and round the mountain. Because the demon chased me while raising a dreadful roar, it was very, very scary. Here and here, fabric got caught on the rock, and cotton was torn off. When I had been informed that this sin had been purified, I realized that my right hand had, without my knowledge, been torn to pieces. This is the fifth rank, the place where the sin of greed is purified. I have constantly prayed that I should be loved by Maria, more than anyone else, and for always, more and more than the day previous. That might be a sin of greed. Yes, it seems like you understand. Here you will bow down to the ground and repent for that sin. This is the sixth rank, the place where the sin of gluttony is purified. Uryu, I have, on nights where Maria was alone watching the house, suggested we have a snack party, even though I knew that eating snacks before going to bed was bad. That is a sin of greed, I think. Yes, it seems like you understand. Here, before food, you will repent for that sin. Because it was okay not to move, compared to the trials up until now, I had thought it would be easy. But on Purgatory Mountain, if there was day, there was also night. The wind blew, and if it rained, it also snowed. Sometimes boiled sulfur only rained down. While repenting for these sins for countless years, I became more and more worn out. In the wind and rain, I had become completely black. Rather than a stuffed animal, I was closer to a dust cloth. Surely, if you brushed your cheek against me, now I would not feel like a soft towel. Surely I would feel like a dust cloth after being wrung out. Completely stiff and dried up, there was no doubt. While being soaked by the rain and completely dried out by the bright sun, my left arm and both legs were torn up. My mane was black and torn apart. Even if no one told me, I would know that I had become a shape no one would recognize as a lion. And so I finally arrived at the 7th rank and completed the trial. I had been guided by Virgilia, and since I had begun to ascend, more than 10 years had passed. I would no longer be seen by anyone as a lion. Far from cloth, I was the color of coal, and was nothing more than a mass of scrap cotton. I had completed all the trials, but I am very sad, because I felt that, with this form, Maria would not know it was me. I was made by Mama, the only stuffed animal in the world. That's why the only one in the world who can fix me is Mama. So I knew from the start I had been destroyed by the same Mama who made me. Mama would probably not fix me. I had purified all of my sins, but I could no longer return to Maria as Sakataro. Sakataro, you really did well. In place of going to heaven, you have been specially permitted to choose to have Beatrice use her magic to revive you once again in the world of humans. Considering how shabby I am now, I'm nothing more than a black lump of cotton. That kind of me. Is he really Sakataro? Would Maria really know that it's me? Whether she will recognize you as you is something no one knows. If finding out is scary, you can also choose to ascend to heaven. Sakataro felt a little unsure about his final decision. The current me is not even a stuffed animal. I am only the grade of a dirty black lump of cotton. Even if I return to Maria in this shape, there's no way she'll know it's me. Which will you choose? Heaven or the human world? Either is fine. Uryu, I've decided on my answer. Maria might not realize that it's you, you know. It's not about whether she'll know it's me. I want to be close to Maria. Even if she thinks I'm a dirty lump of cotton, that's fine. Understood. Well then, let us entrust you to Beatrice's magic. Back to Beatrice, on Rockinjima? No, she is different. During your trials, a new person inherited the title of Beatrice. You will be resurrected with that person. Was a miracle caused by the endless magic. Sakataro slowly awoke. There was the smell of dust. Maybe a futon shop? It was not Maria's room, nor Beatrice's mansion. He could hear someone's voice. He could hear the sound of someone descending wooden steps. Who could it be? Will I be recognized as Sakataro? And then, will I be taken to where Maria is? I was mixed in with lots of other stuffed animals and continued to slumber. Umineko Tsubasa. Well, that was a decidedly different story. Not quite sure how I feel about that one. That was just different. Anyway, arigato for 556, an old story of the Chiesa sisters. To everyone, thank you. Arigato for 556. The Chiesa Sisters Imperial Guards are supposedly a memorial troop corps formed in commemoration of the flight of the Red Dragon. However, that is simply a superstition, as the corps' formation and operation had in fact been carefully planned by the Ministry of Defense. In 68, the Minister of Defense urged domestic military magic manufacturers to submit design documents for a new type of magical soldiers for the Imperial Guard that could operate under the following specifications. These specifications were referred to as the 3F project, and the 3 Fs to be achieved were namely first detection, first shot, and first kill. Eventually, two well-established companies, RAC and Chester, offered to design this new model of a magical life form and submitted their respective design documents. RAC made impressive changes to the traditional M-Series model based on the Imperial Guard specifications, putting emphasis on the fighting strength so as to not tarnish the name of the Dragon King Pendragon's Imperial Guards. In order to implement these 3 Fs, the model was made to specialize in overwhelming and independent offensive capabilities, being fitted with a tremendous capacity for onboard weaponry. As such, the model was to be capable of heavy firefighting, even as a single unit and, at least based on the manual specs, a magical life form of such heavy firepower that it had the potential to rewrite the entire history of weapons. The ministers were so taken with the terms single unit and heavy firepower that they very nearly gave a tentative offer to adopt the M-Series model just before the end of the selection process. On the other hand, Chester had instead decided to emphasize quick maintenance, operation, and deployment. Contrary to RAC's M-Series, the company proposed a Chester series model that was inexpensive, robust, mass-producible, and fast to deploy. To satisfy the 3 Fs, single-unit implementation plans were abandoned at early stages. The Chester series models were implemented with individual specialized abilities, and were used coordination in order to cover matters of tactics. Although the argument for the implementation was sound, government officials were under the impression that the minister's intention was to have guardsmen worthy of the Dragon King's Pendragon Personal Imperial Guard, and so the Chester series was not initially considered at all. That decision was about to be gradually overturned, however, as the state of military equipment in the heavens, the spirit world, and so on was facing changes. The spirit world, feared as the greatest military power at the time, had claimed overwhelming saturation attacks as their forte. However, another major player seeking to even out the military balance, the Heaven, rewrote military history in 71 by successfully constructing the Spirit Particle Combat System. The system would utterly suppress any kind of brute force type attacks reliant solely on military strength, budgets, and resources. With this, the figure of a lone, heavily armed hero soldier, as the epics of old used to depict and children used to aspire towards, had become nothing but the stuff of ancient fairy tales. Chester had been quick to react to this turn of events, and decided to add anti-spirit particle combat capabilities to the Chester series. Thus did the most prominent feature of the Chester series, nicknamed Rabbit Ears, come to life. So the rabbit ears were an afterthought? Unlike the more traditional type of hardpoint equipment model utilized by RAC's M-Series, their armament was developed as a rapid development extra-dimensional weapon rack in specific response to spirit particle combat. Also, in direct contrast to the M-Series, it sacrificed onboard equipment capacity in favor of specializing in stealth. Thanks to the efforts of the Chester lobbyists, the Minister of Defense made a substantial policy change in the same year and declared anti-spirit particle combat measures to be of the utmost importance for the 3F project. And so, the Chiesa series, which had been previously completely overlooked, stepped into the limelight in a single stroke. This was how the Chiesa series by Chiesa Corporation won the honor of being named the Memorial Order, formed in commemoration of the flight of the Red Dragon. So were born the Chiesa sisters, who were the first Imperial Guards to go against the conventional idea of the Guard consisting of independent, heavily armed soldiers. As such, there were still conservative governments, officials, and other stragglers who failed to grasp the concept of spirit particle combat and saw the sisters as nothing but cheap, inefficient, and unfitting for His Majesty the Dragon King, and lambasted them as mere ceremonial soldiers, going so far as to call them dolls. However, the design of individual units being dedicated exclusively to specialization allows for both the low-cost manufacturing as well as the rapid operation and deployment of specialist units. It eventually became clear that by organizing the specialized soldiers on a mission basis, according to their respective abilities, they could be used to deal with a wide variety of tasks. These individual abilities were a far cry from those that had belonged to the other heroic and heavily armed Imperial Guard soldiers. However, this squad of sisters, formed as specialized soldiers with their own areas of expertise, excelled in the results in this new era of warfare with every battle they fought. The word sisters in Chiesa Sister Imperial Guards eloquently speaks to the solidarity among the girls of this combat group. Chiesa 410 was created to specialize in sniping. She was fitted with an excellent firing radar, but due to her unique setting, she read the measurement results in an analog manner. All modern spirit particle combat is performed based on precise measurements. By all rights, there ought to have been no room for analog ideas to exist. However, the battlefield is analog, not digital. The possibility for unexpected circumstances outside of pure zero and ones is always there. Chiesa 410 was a prototype specifically designed to excel in grasping that gray area. Early on in her enlistment, she was ranked quite low. During practice, her skills as a sniper were mediocre at best, and her peculiar personality didn't do her any favors either. Even on the battlefield, she did not fully link information from friendly troops and interpret them with her own ideas, giving her an evaluation as a rogue who didn't follow orders. However, after having been paired with Chiesa 45, who specialized in firing calculations, 410 began to distinguish herself in short order. The following year, she dramatically blossomed into an excellent field sniper during a proxy war against a certain puppet nation. In just a single week after taking up her post, she had achieved a grand victory against the 34th Automated Giant Squadron, using an armor-piercing sniping bow from a range of 1800 Mrute to cause decisive damage to 2 units and disable 1 unit's autonomous walking capacity. Her impressive military achievements kept only increasing in count from there on, and a year later she was promoted to senior designated marksman. Her former instructor later reminisced that nothing had ever compared to the surprise of seeing her face at the promotion ceremony. Receiving the golden bow, said to be a symbol of honor to snipers, only further nurtured her talents. She was the fastest one ever to climb to the ranks of the elite 10 snipers of the Chiesa Sister Imperial Guards. Is what I've written here. It's nice to think that thanks to 45's excellent support, 410's rare talents were allowed to blossom. As I told them this, giving credit to both of them, 410 burst into a cackling laughter and told me this. You know, 45 is such a stick in the mud that it's really funny to just ignore the data she so desperately calculated when she immediately starts huffing and puffing about it, yeah. 410 is always so mean. I'm really trying hard to get exact calculations. Don't just ignore them. That's so mean. 45, your calculations are pretty ridiculous. Close enough is good enough. Yeah. It's not good enough. Lately you've been all over the place. I've been extra careful because you made me so mad. let me write about Jester 45 as well. 45 was created specifically for the purpose of calculations in spirit particle combat. Calculations are meant to be ruthlessly exact, accurately determining zeros and ones, with no room for error, and then to report the results. However, with her digital-esque measurements, 45 cannot truly interface with units designed in the pre-war format. Coupled with her weak and easily intimidated character, she had no confidence in her measurement results. In a manner of speaking, as a measurer, she became the lowest of the low. Needless to say, her training record was poor as well, causing her peers in the Imperial Guard to entrust her with nothing but regular surveillance, treating her like baggage. As such, she was paired with 410, another nuisance as a sniper. The idea was clearly to put the troublemakers together. Although, seeing as this pair eventually went on to win significant military victories, you can never know what this world has got in store for you. I struggled for a long time trying to understand how this bizarre duo could be the amazing sniper combination that they are, but I believe I recently came up with a possibility. It's because this pair is driven by 410. Because of her frequent troublemaking and insubordination, she was often paired with people who would keep her in line, high-strung people to monitor her, or even senior soldiers. When she received an order from her superiors, 410 wouldn't act entirely on her own whims, but obey the order, however, half-heartedly. That way, she was not acting independently. However, 45 wasn't strong-minded enough to keep 410 in check. For the first time, 410 was allowed to act independently and to demonstrate her abilities. Can that really be called acting independently, though? If you ask me, 45's timidness simply lets 410 act as recklessly as she wants. That's why, for a long time, I thought that the secret to unlocking 410's talents had been the fact that she was allowed to do whatever she wanted. That didn't seem to be the case, though. 410 finds teasing 45 to be hilarious, and so she likes to intentionally ignore her measurement data and perform difficult, eccentric shots. Her marksmanship is truly astounding, much to the astonishment and dismay of 45. It seems that her reactions only serve to add to 410's self-satisfaction, further escalating her behavior and contributing to her military success. 45 really dislikes being treated like plaything. She is so meek and uptight that there is no end in sight to her one-sided harassment. This won't be a fair relationship for her. I have petitioned several times, in secret from 410, an alteration to their inappropriate pairing. Nevertheless, since the headquarters are well aware of the military gains this pair brings about, that petition will likely never be accepted. Typically, military gains are something for both members of the pair to boast about. However, although 410's eccentric shooting is obviously just showboating of her abilities, there are people who would even call it art. As such, the successes attributed to the two of them are actually often credited to 410 alone. Even 410 herself has spoken of them as her personal achievements. Even as meek as 45 was, she wasn't too happy about that. Shadowed by 410's genius talent, however, she would never say that aloud. As their superior officer, I could sense that to be the case, so I advised 410 to be a little more appreciative and grateful to her partner. Without the link from 45, you surely would have failed most of your shots. Shouldn't you show a little more appreciation towards her? Yeah, 00 started another lecture, yeah. 410 stared at me blankly like I was an idiot. I told her that 45 had her fair share of troubles, and a word of thanks from 410 would ease her mind. Looking a little indignant from hearing that, 410 spoke to me. Zero doesn't get it, yeah? Sure, I act big and boast about the victories, but I've never thought of them as mine alone. The credit always belongs to the two of us, yeah. Is that so? Based on your usual talk and behavior, I wouldn't have imagined you thought of your victories as belonging to both of you, though. How rude, yeah? 45 is my best partner. I've always thought that, and I always will, yeah. Together, with 45, we can do anything, yeah. We're the best partners. I'll always want to be paired with her, yeah. The way she was smiling, I couldn't possibly bring myself to reveal to her that I had petitioned a pair change for 45. So you're telling me that you actually really are grateful to 45? Of course I am, yeah. She's my partner, after all, yeah. It's kind of pissing me off that you keep going on about it, yeah? I finally understood the difference between the two of them. 410 isn't an obedient personality. She likes to exaggerate and twist the things she says. So from an outside perspective, her boasting of her victory seemed like she was talking about her own abilities alone. In actuality, though, she understood and appreciated the fact that without 45, none of that would have been possible. She had the highest respect for 45 as a partner and wanted her by her side forever. The problem was that her feelings didn't reach 45. 45 thought of herself as incompetent, someone to be derided by 410, and not much more. To her, all of their victories were thanks to 410's talents, and if 410 only were paired with a better sister, her military gains would be that much greater. So I told 410 that unless she shows her appreciation with words, it will not be communicated. I don't want it. Why not? I appreciate it. Thank you. Whatever. It's kind of embarrassing, isn't it? I have to say it deliberately. It feels pathetic, yeah. 45 and her are the greatest partners. At this point, we understand it, even without saying. The feelings are already shared in forms that's too complicated to put into words. Translating the feelings in your heart into words means diluting them. Having told me this, she ignored my advice to articulate her gratitude to 45. Because I'm blinded in my right eye and therefore inefficient in my specialty, reconnaissance, the final task assigned to me seems to be keeping this troublesome pair of snipers in line. 410, also aware of the blind spot on my right side, nimbly dodged my emotionally charged slap. Jester 556 was created as a prototype model of state-of-the-art weaponry, and as such, with great fanfare, she was installed in the Jester Sister Imperial Guard for field study purposes. Her specialization was squad fire support. Simply put, she was in charge of the heavy firepower. At the time, 410 was well known both domestically and abroad as a charismatic sniper, so putting 556 and her brand new weaponry together with her was thought to be a surefire way towards even greater military victories. Squad fire support? Pretty excessive, yeah? Although our pair specializes in long-range firing, we're lacking in the ability to suppress a large enemy force simultaneously closing in at short range. I guess she's supposed to compensate for that. Picking off delicious prey from long distance and then vanishing into thin air is our specialty, yeah? Fire support is unnecessary, you dunce, yeah. 410 was saying that they had no need for a newbie who would only get in the way of their shooting. For 45, who surely thought of herself as a hindrance as well, those words only added to her emotional scars. But 410 simply and honestly thought they didn't need an outsider to butt in on the perfect pair that was herself and 410. I understood what was on both of their minds, and the uncomfortable situation made the old scar of my ear act up, making me scratch it. Do you read me, 556? Are the preparations ready? Yes, this is 556. I'm ready. Thank you very much. 556 was standing in the outdoor shooting range. It was time for the first demonstration of state-of-the-art weaponry. At a glance, 556 seemed to be on pretty much the same wavelength as 45. She was meek and polite, though just like with 45, her compatibility with 410 would probably not be all that great. Target. Blue target group. 45. Commence analysis. Understood. Commencing terrain analysis and error correction. Data link to 556. Yeah. Come on then. Show us what you've got. Data link from 45. Target identified. My thanks. Commencing attack. 556 drew a crude, large lead bow. It didn't have even a fraction of the elegance of the golden bows that 410 and 45 use. Firepower is not proportional to elegance, though. In direct contrast to 556's gentle atmosphere, the lead bow spat out a swelling lead serpent towards the 10 odd targets, standing in a row and, like a lead serpent would, slithered under the targets as if licking and tasting them and then cut them down sideways, crushing them to tiny pieces. It was nothing like beautifully sniping and piercing the opponent's weak point with a single golden arrow. It was something completely different. A terrifying strike that overwhelmed the opponent by engulfing them with dozens, if not hundreds, of swelling lead arrows. We couldn't help but stand in awe of the merciless offensive power of this new type of weaponry. Then I suddenly realized something. This overwhelming firepower would, for certain, set 410's rivalrous heart alight. No doubt about it. And with the same certainty, it would end up causing me more headaches, I suppose. Never mind about the supposing part. Yep, 410 is picking a fight already. Oh, my poor head. Not bad, yeah? Thank you. It was all thanks to 45's data. Not at all. At this distance, 556 firing radar alone would have been plenty to target it. But with your data, the firing was successful. Thank you. You're welcome. 556 had a calm demeanor and a gentle way of talking. She had another peculiarity to her as well, her tendency to fill her conversations with thank yous, indiscriminately expressing her gratitude. Every time she responded to something, she would end her sentence with thanks. But it lacks beauty, yeah? There were just 15 targets to pierce, and your lead arrows went and tore into them like that. Punching a hole in the middle would have been enough. Now each one of them is shredded to pieces. Shut it, 410. Beauty or lack thereof makes no difference in the middle of war. Stop nitpicking 556 shooting. Pay her no mind. 410 has a bit of a duplicitous side. Not at all, 00. Thank you. And thanks to you as well, 410. You're right. Even in wars such an uncouth way of fighting is unacceptable. Thank you for telling me that. Even when 410 was clearly just looking for something to fault, 556 simply smiled gently and thanked her. Were my skills as great as 410 and 45's, I believe I could carry out my missions causing only minimal pain, by piercing exactly what I aim at and avoiding any unnecessary injuries or incidental victims. But all that I can do with my violent shooting is just ruthlessly crush my opponent. I believe that mercilessness is inexcusable, even on the battlefield. Thank you for telling me that. Yeah. Despite how hard she was trying to pick a fight, not even 410 could have imagined being thanked like this. Afterwards, when she'd had time to collect herself, she went back to picking fights about various things, with 45 desperately trying to patch things up as she went along. Every single time they would be met with a delightful smile and response that ended in thanks. These exchanges kept repeating themselves until 410 finally declared, "This kid's nickname is now Thanksy Bunny, yeah?" and stormed off. This seemed to completely sour 45's mood. 45 then went after 410, who had walked away sulking. Thanksy Bunny is a terrible nickname. Not at all. I never would have dreamed of being given a nickname by a teammate on my first day. It's an honor. Thank you very much. Why do you say thanks so often? Is there a meaning behind it? A troublemaker like 410, in order to show just how much of a troublemaker she was, unconsciously raised that question. For example, like with her tendency to end sentences with "nye." But the way 556 did not see her as a troublemaker, and like with her insistence on thanking everyone, saw past her words to their literal meaning, wasn't interesting to me. That's when 556, for the first time without thanking me, told me something. I am strong. I haven't received excellent marks from the Chester headquarters test team, but none of that is reason to be conceited. I had teammates supporting me from the sidelines so I could get those high marks. And for that reason, I'll always be thankful for those close friends who supported me. I feel like blowing the dirt under my fingernails and making 410 drink it. But I had some doubts over whether that gratitude was really reaching them. Doubts? Yes, I am grateful to everyone, but unless I tell it to them, they'll never get to know it if it happens that I don't get to meet them again. They would probably think for the rest of their lives that I wasn't grateful to them, even though I really was. We are soldiers of the Chester Sisters Imperial Guard. No, regardless of who we are, there will inevitably and suddenly come a day when two people will be able to talk to each other for the last time. When that unexpected day comes, even if you thought you tried to hastily convey all of your piled up gratitude, you can't do it anymore. At that time, how would they feel about me? I think that would be sad. There are many countless people that I've felt thankful to, but I haven't told that to anyone. So even if they think I'm not thankful to them, that is no fault of theirs. And if the opportunity to clear up that misunderstanding were suddenly lost forever one day, they would forever keep thinking of me as an ungrateful, cold-hearted girl, wouldn't they? And I would forever keep regretting it, wondering why I never once managed to convey my gratitude. Surely my feelings will eventually be communicated. Using words is boorish. We understand each other so well we don't need words anymore. I've come to hate things like that. That's why I'm always frightened that, whoever I'm with, that meeting might turn out to be our last. Even as I'm talking to you like this, 00, I wonder if today is our last day together. So I'll never again want to miss an opportunity to convey my gratitude by always adding thank you to whatever I was talking about. So, for listening to this story, thank you. That was indeed a sad story. If 45 were to suddenly disappear one day, 410 may forever regret that she couldn't communicate her feelings of appreciation to 45. 45 as well may be forever wrapped in sadness that 410 never said a single word of thanks to her, despite the fact that 410 really was honestly grateful for 45. So, that is why I want to thank you too. There's no need to thank me. As the leader of the squad, I will not leave anyone behind. I won't hear nonsense like that from anyone. That includes you too, soldier. Throwing around all these things, like you're prepared to leave our squad at any time, is incredibly disrespectful. Anyone who dares to display such cowardice will be severely disciplined. You mark my words. Welcome to the squad. You're part of the team now. Thank you very much, 00. Jester 556, reporting for duty. From that day on, the personal guard of Lady Maria had 4 members. When you get the chance to say thanks, will you do it? Umineko Tsubasa. Well, we got time, so let's dive into Schrodinger Goda. Notes from a certain chef. Goda has been employed as the sole chef on Rakanjima. He recounts the ghost stories of the Ushimiya mansion. I write things down to forget. I wish I, and anyone, won't read this. Miscellaneous notes from a certain chef. Since they call it the 7 islands of Izu, I used to think that the archipelago of Izu was comprised of no more than 7 islands. At first I was told that Rakanjima was a considerably small island. However, compared with the image I had of an island like a flat tatami mat, like the back of a whale where a single palm tree would be growing, pictured by my poor imagination, Rakanjima seemed to be of a considerable vastness. The coastline of the island is a little over 10 kilometers. Its overall length would be around 3 kilometers. On a map, it'll certainly look small, but when you take into account that it's a private island, it's only the mansion of the Ushimiya family built there, its vastness becomes something unimaginable. I often remember how the presence of the imposing mansion on the other side of the beautiful rose garden greatly surprised me when I first arrived here. Not even in my wildest dreams that my life as a cook would lead to being called out to be an exclusive cook for multimillionaires, unlike what happens in manga or fairy tales. To begin with, I had no luck. A well-established restaurant of a high-class hotel was a wonderful workplace known by its pride and brimming tension, a place where wonderfully talented cooks competed over their skills. But more than pride and tradition, it was also a fact that the bonds there were strong. But everything erupted when the head chef, who coordinated the cooks through his strong charisma, all of a sudden decided to retire due to illness. To a cook of skills and pride above others, the only person they are able to respect is a cook who surpasses themselves. That's why, as long as the head chef kept his authority, no matter how inflexible, impertinent, or young we were, we all made our work as one. So, maybe this was the inevitable consequence when the head chef decided to retire all of a sudden. We were split into a few factions. The most popular one in the kitchen was expected to become the head chef. That person was highly valued for his respectable achievements, skills, and leadership over the enthusiastic juniors. However, that person was also strong-willed. It was hard to say he got along well with the hotel side in particular. What the hotel side needed was a cook who would be able to show satisfactory results with suitable budgets and deadlines, not a cook who would go against deadline and budgets in order to show satisfactory results. That discrepancy of priorities with the cooks became trouble. The candidate the hotel side recommended was a typical sitting-on-the-fence person. He gave a strong impression of being more interested in being toady to the big shots than polishing his skills as a cook. Instead of improving his cooking skills until today, he seemed to spend time only aiming at the position of the next head chef. In the end, that man was installed as the head chef. The person we expected to get that position ended up being his assistant. We could not agree with that result, but we started to put the kitchen to work under the setup to see how things would turn out for a while. However, the differences with the predecessor obviously appeared right away, and the dissatisfaction among the cooks exploded. There were many cooks who could not endorse his methods, that disregarded their pride as cooks, and certainly I was among them. Before long, we decided to force the hotel side to the negotiation table by slapping our resignation letters at them, assistants and sympathizers all together. It was an atmosphere that seemed to say there was no other way besides that anymore. At the time, I was the youngest one, but I'd not lose anyone in terms of skills and pride. Thinking back now, maybe I lacked self-consciousness that, at the same time I was a cook, I was also an employee of the hotel. From the start, the assistants did not seem interested in those reckless methods. I'd only noticed that later. After all, being young at the time, we were enthusiastic about raising a revolt at last, with the assistance too, and scare the hell out of that damn irritating new head chef. But as a result, what we got at the end was an unexpected twist. The assistants were dissuaded from resigning at the very end, and they did not join the coup d'etat. To tell the truth, the hotel seemed to think it was a nice chance to purge the kitchen, where the functional infighting aggravated. Moreover, they dissuaded the usual talented ones from resigning and purposely overlooked the outbreak of the coup d'etat. I did not get that dissuasion. In other words, it meant to the hotel side that they have a nice opportunity to fire me. We, the young ones at the time, insulted the colleagues who did not take part and called the assistants as traitors, and planned for a strike, but a cook is a cook because he makes food, and if he doesn't make food, he cannot make a living. Starting with the calmer ones, one by one they quietly backed out from that uproar and disappeared after getting another job. Only after reaching that stage, I finally realized how inexperienced I was. The title of a former cook of a well-established restaurant can be a weapon, but can also be a weight. To find another job is not an easy task. I tried to find employment at restaurants and hotels of the same level, but all participants of this industry have strong horizontal bonds. Details of the troubles were already well known, and I heard that even circulated a letter was distributed telling them that, if they hired the people involved with the troubles, they would have to reconsider the relations from there on. There were absolutely no signs that a chance to call myself a cook again would arrive. On a certain day, I received a call from a junior who sympathized and resigned together with me. A certain multimillionaire was looking for a live-in cook, he said. When I heard the story, the pay was not bad at all, but I had the impression that the working conditions would be quite severe. That junior told me this to return a past favor he was indebted to me. From what I heard, a multimillionaire family is looking for an exclusive cook. They demand someone very skillful. However, very skilled cooks are normally attached to somewhere, and there's no way they are free. They also have bonds of gratitude to that, and there's no way they thoughtlessly resign just because they are shown a high salary. In other words, it means it's a perfect job offer for a person like me. To work as an exclusive cook in an isolated island. Not a bad situation. Besides, my economical situation doesn't allow me to be picky anymore. And there's also the status that can satisfy my youthful pride. So then, I took part in the cook selection of the Ushimiya family. Besides me, there were more than 10 cooks gathered there. To be honest, maybe I was the oldest one there. Being in the middle of a bunch of young ones, in its true meaning, in spite of thinking I'm still young, I end up feeling overly self-conscious. But the young cooks were inspired as well. If they had more experience, they'd probably become wonderful cooks. In terms of experience, I really had the upper hand here. Also, I was highly valued for my skills when serving the customers, which I learned with the previous head chef. It's evident, the difference between a cook who doesn't leave the kitchen and a hotel cook who takes the food himself to the VIP customer and even had a pleasant talk. That's why I felt a feeling I would get this job. But even so, it would also be possible that they'd prefer to hire a younger one. With reasoning, something like habits from other workplaces will cause trouble instead. In the end, though, it was all in the hands of the divine. That's why later, when I was informed that Madame Natsuhi gave the final word that I'd get the job, I could see an aureole shining from her. And thus, I became the exclusive cook who would serve the Ushimiya family. During my contract, I must absolutely not make food to no person except for people connected to the family, and extremely executive feelings stimulated my pride most of all. My food won't be offered to anyone but the relatives of the Ushimiya family. Not bad. And thus my second life started at the mansion of Rakunjima. My past troubles as a cook and as a servant are probably very tedious and uninteresting to write about. Too uninteresting to write. That's why I decided to write about interesting things, about my life working in Rakunjima. And the most interesting thing is probably the legend about Beatrice, the Golden Witch. All over Japan, wherever you are, there are stories about curses, malediction, and such. Of course, the hotel I used to work also had many of those stories. So, I remember that, when I heard about such a story in my new workplace, I put up a bitter smile and thought, those stories in this place as well. Even so, this one is different. Most Japanese ghost stories are about ghosts or yokai. However, this mansion of Rakunjima family gives you a sensation of anachronism. So even if a ghost like Oiwa-san with her head wrapped in a triangle bandage were to come out, you'd probably only snigger at her instead. Maybe ghost stories suit this mansion after all. They say the lady of the portrait, that is openly displayed at the reception hall, wanders about the mansion every night. And that very lady is the night ruler of this mansion, and if you lack respect for her, you'll face a cruel fate. Things like that. According to what I heard, a servant spoke ill of Beatrice-sama to make light of her, and it seems she had to retire because of a serious injury. Well, something like that. If a misfortune takes place, they'll say all of it is the curse of Beatrice-sama. Meaning that, when the misfortune happened, it's not unlikely that there'd be an atmosphere of pushing the blame into the person who didn't show respect. I understood that right away and made sure to not forget to show fear for Beatrice. But inside me, I'm sneering at her. There's no way such absurd things exist. This ghost story of Beatrice was blindly accepted by the senior servants. Respect or you'll be cursed. By means of that, it was just as if there's an atmosphere like a real person dies in a natural death, and the ghost becomes respected. There's a strong air telling us to be really discreet about speaking ill about Beatrice-sama to make light of her. And even if it were to be chatting over tea, we could not speak carelessly about her. Humans are interesting. When you live among that kind of people for so long, you really start to get such feelings. I was starting to get frightened that, one day, when passing by in front of the huge portrait during the rounds late at night, her eyes would glare at me. Even so, I was above mere ghost stories. At least, that was what I said at first. The night rounds are pretty hard because we have to check if all the doors and windows are closed inside this huge mansion. However, since the people of the family are already asleep, as a servant I can relax a bit. On a certain night, when I was passing by the reception hall, I saw a silhouette disappearing towards the grand staircase. I heard footsteps too. Since I had thought that Master and Madam were already sleeping, and I was kind of slacking around, I got greatly flustered and tense. That floating shadow, I somewhat had seen the impression of a female figure. Among the servants, there's no one with a silhouette like that, so I automatically thought it was Madame or my lady. Somehow it looked like the silhouette of something like a negligee. However, when I think carefully, that was quite a strange story. Madame is an extremely serious person, and always said that the corridors inside the mansions were the same as public roads. In other words, she meant that people should not walk around in the corridors in indecent clothing, such as pajamas. Actually, Even though the people of the Ushimiya family were at home, they are always using formal garments. When people are at home, they should relax using more comfortable clothes, but such logic doesn't apply to the Ushimiya family. Actually, I've already seen my lady being censured by Madame about her clothes being out of shape and receiving reprimands. That's why, when I think carefully, that silhouette was not supposed to be seen inside the mansion. The more I remember about the silhouette, the more I can't think that it could be someone from this mansion. Who on earth did I see? Could it really be Beatrice-sama? The place where I saw that silhouette was the reception hall. In other words, in front of the portrait of Beatrice-sama. Now that some time has passed, it got more eerie than the moment when I saw the silhouette. Kenan-san, do you have a minute now? After I wash and tidy up the tools, I'm planning to clean the grand staircase. What is it? He is a servant boy who uses the alias Kenan and is allowed to have the one-winged eagle. From the start, I thought I wouldn't be able to get along well with him, but now I don't have that intention. However, since that moment was so unusual, it made me want to talk to him about it. He has been serving longer than me. He knows details about Beatrice-sama's ghost story, and yet I talk to him as though I'm in a higher position. I talk to him with that feeling. I wanted to talk to someone about that experience. I didn't care what would happen if I talked to him, but if I didn't talk about it with someone, I wouldn't have calmed down. I see, now I understand well the feelings of the barber who couldn't help but to scream, "The king has donkey ears." I think I saw Beatrice-sama tonight. Have you experienced something similar, Kenan-san? He remains silent, motionless, and stares at me with eyes as though evaluating me. It was as though he was a cat pondering about whether to stay or to run away. When I thought he had plainly ignored me, Kenan-san answered me. Once, when I was doing the rounds during my shift late at night, I saw a golden butterfly. Golden butterfly? Don't they say that Beatrice-sama appears, they fly around to announce her? That's how it went. Butterflies shining gold are an omen of Beatrice-sama appearing, as they say. That was like them mapping out a location, very similar to will-o-wisps that appear before a ghost shows up. However, different from the will-o-wisps, the golden butterfly doesn't have an ominous image. If I had to say, I'd say that it's a beauty I'd want to see at least once, if it really existed. However, if I happened to meet them during a night round all alone, I'm sure they'd look really ominous. Among the old servants, we are told the golden butterflies announce that Beatrice-sama will appear, and if we follow after them, we'll probably be able to meet Beatrice-sama, but we are also told to not follow after them. So, Kenan-san, you didn't follow after them? Yes. That would be the same as disrespecting Beatrice-sama. If I remember, a servant who followed after them had a serious injury and resigned, right? I've heard of that. Beatrice-sama is tolerant with those who respect her, but they say she's cruel with those who lack respect. Kenan-san's mood felt like even talking unnecessarily about Beatrice-sama was a blasphemy. I felt something beyond only hatred for me. Sorry for wasting your precious time. I probably made a mistake. Perhaps I mistook it for Madame or Milady walking around in pajamas. Madame and Milady are going out to the corridors in such clothing is something that would absolutely never happen. But I saw a figure. It was white. It had an image like of a female wearing a negligee. I've never heard that Madame and Milady had pajamas like that. That was probably the answer I wanted from the beginning. That female silhouette, it was neither Madame nor my lady. Could that one really be Beatrice-sama? I cannot understand. I don't want to recognize that the witch exists just because of that. I wanted to clarify who that shadow was. And, perhaps, that intention appeared on my face. Upon realizing that, Kanen-san, and so giving a warning, said this. Goda-san, you're not to say bad things. For your own good, I think you should be careful with acts that might profane Beatrice-sama. No, that's not my intention at all. Me too, some time ago. I already doubted about Beatrice-sama's existence. Huh? Kanen-san? You did? Yes. I had the same expression Goda-san is putting up now. I once felt doubt when told of the existence of the enigmatic witch the old servants insisted so much that I show respect. I even thought about disclosing her true colors, should she have one. That was unexpected. Here I was thinking he blindly believes Beatrice-sama, but he's telling me he had doubts of her existence in the past. Now I got even more uneasy. And why do you believe her now, Kanen-san? Because I was shown a miracle that only a witch could do. No, not a miracle. That was a warning. Beatrice-sama gave me a warning for doubting her existence and profane her. About that, could you tell me? Once again, he gets silent. However, I wanted to do something to clear that haze inside my chest, so I do not simply withdraw. Before long, he was beaten by my persistence and told me about the case where he came to believe in the existence of the witch. To put it in a simple way, it goes like this. In a certain day, he restored the tools into the gardening storehouse and cleanly tidied it up. He then forgot to return the key of the gardening storehouse to the key box in the servant's room and went to bed with it in his pocket, he said. You can only open or close the storehouse shutter with one exclusive key. There's no master's key or spare key for it. In other words, that night, nobody could have entered the gardening storehouse. And on the next morning, in order to do the maintenance in the rose garden, he opened the gardening storehouse to pick the tools and was surprised. The interior of the storehouse, that was supposed to be thoroughly in order, was a complete mess. Moreover, there were an eerie drawing painted what looked like a magic circle, made with blood-like red paint on the floor, according to him. What an absurd story. If Kanen-san was with the key the whole time, would the gardening storehouse be a closed room? There's no way anyone would make a mess out of the interior of the storehouse and be able to draw such weird figures. I could not believe it at that time as well. Even now, I can't forget the shock of when I opened the shutter, and the inside of the storehouse looked like a tornado had passed through there and the eerie magic circle drawn. Certainly, if that happened, there's no way it's not eerie. However, couldn't we think like this? It's also possible that it was an elaborate prank someone prepared to frighten you. Prank? Yeah, that's right. You were young. To tease you, the other servants played that prank on you, huh? But I had the key. At least during that night, there's no way anyone could have entered the storehouse. Wouldn't it also be possible that there is another spare key that Kanen-san doesn't know about? No, there shouldn't be. How can you say that with certainty? Kanen-san believes there's no spare key. However, you can't prove that it doesn't exist. The truth is that a spare key might exist without Kanen-san's knowledge. Isn't that so? If you think like that, that incomprehensible closed room case can be explained as someone's prank. For a bit, I felt like I had become a great detective. Of course, he didn't object to this explanation. My mood improved, and I ended up criticizing Beatrice-sama. There's no way witches exist. I'm sure they are just seeing things wrong. Many of the incomprehensible incidents the witch caused can be certainly explained through some sort of trick or fortuity. At that time, the expression Cannon showed, eyes wide open, I'll never forget it. It was as though his face said, "You'll never get away unharmed after saying those dreadful things." As though frightened at the visions of a fool, daredevil, a face like that. That uncanny expression of his got stuck in my heart as a thorn. I got carried away and remained there for a while. And then, on a certain day when I was starting to forget the pain of that thorn, that day was a rare day when Master Kinzo-sama went out. And besides that, Master, Madame, and even my lady would be absent because of a trip, meaning the whole Ushimiya family would be gone from the island. A very rare day indeed. Because of that, the shift chart had a small number of people assigned. So that day, only Genji and I were on duty. It's often said that when the cat is away, the mice will play. I remember it was a really pleasant day. Genji-san remained the whole time in the servant's room and was very busy with paperwork. Because of that, I, secretly and carefreely, took a stroll through the rose garden and had a toast to the roses with a beer can and persimmons. It was really pleasant, a wonderful day that made me think it would be nice to have a day like this every week. Because of that, I only had to prepare meals enough for me and Genji-san, so I got through with it easily. Since the food did not give much trouble, the tidying up, too, was simple. Since it was a rare opportunity, I cleaned the kitchen more diligently than usual, and wore a large smile at the sparkling sink. Genji-san was in charge of the rounds, so I returned to the servants' resting room when I finished my stuff, and then healed the fatigue of the day, taking a shower carefreely. I wasn't really tired or anything, but spending the day out at the rose garden got me beat. Having trouble reading this, man. Then the phone rang. To have a phone call at this hour, it must be something urgent, I think in surprise. Genji-san is a person of the opinion that it's not polite to make phone calls in the middle of the night. So, even if something urgent happened in the middle of the night, he'd rather not use the phone and, if possible, go to the room of the other party and knock on the door. Since it's Genji-san who is calling, what on earth could have happened, I thought, and in a rush I picked up the receiver while covering myself with a bath towel. Did something happen? The answer to that was really simple. I want you to come to the kitchen as soon as possible. Hurry. Considering it's Genji-san, it's strange that his voice sounded a bit nervous. Just by the tone of voice, it made me realize that certainly something weird had happened. However, what on earth would have happened? Speaking of which, the kitchen, to me, was my stronghold. If I take that some ineptitude had happened there, it will be my responsibility for sure. However, in my particular case, would I make any ineptitude in the kitchen? At any rate, I changed clothes once again and rushed towards the kitchen. And then, I'll probably never forget what I saw there. Sis, what's the meaning of this? I want you to help me. It's too much for me to manage alone. Looking at this bizarre situation, I'm more surprised at how Genji-san's surprise was only expressed in the nervousness of his voice. In any case, my dear kitchen that I had tidied up to be so well organized should be perfect. Why is it like this? On the counter, the pots and bowls that had been polished into silver color were piled up like a children building blocks. And around it, the cookware, such as the ladles, were lined up radially. It's better to describe that at the first impression as a totem pole made with the cookware by natives or something of the sort. Moreover, there was blood like red paint, thick, kind of surrounding them. An eerie magic circle-like thing were drawn. Needless to say that shivers went up my spine. Then, That thorn revives in my mind. Isn't this what Cannon saw inside the gardening storehouse? I'm damn sure. Is this here? Goda, we must not show this to the other servants. Let's hurry and tidy it up this night. That's right. Let's tidy it up. Who would have done this? That was a strange story to speak about. Today there's only 2 people in Rokkenjima, Genji-san and I. Seeing that I'd never do such an absurd thing, the culprit is automatically Genji-san. No. Would Genji-san do such an absurd thing? What would he gain doing such a prank? He wants to harass me? But Genji-san himself is tidying it up like this. Why would he scatter things around himself and then tidy it up himself? Would he do such a pointless thing just out of mere will to scare me? That's unimaginable. If I seek for the culprit behind this grotesque magic circle prank, besides the Golden Witch Beatrice, I can't think of anyone. Genji-san, when did you notice this? When I finished my round and was about to return to the servants' room, I noticed that the door of the kitchen had been left open. When I took a peek, I was in this state. Could it be a burglar? Everything is perfectly locked. Besides, there's no way a burglar would take the trouble to come to Rokkenjima. Then, who would do this? There's no need to investigate into that. Anyway, Goda, you tidy up the pots. I'll erase this. Excuse me, I heard from Ken-san, that there was something like this before at the gardening storehouse. This kind of thing, does it happen often? Maybe I should not have asked that. Even though his mouth was moving, his hands didn't stop moving. But now Genji-san stops his hand and raises his face with a seemingly grim face. Damn Cannon. I told him not to reveal it. I'm sorry. Please, don't scold him. I was the one who insisted. More importantly, please tell me. This kind of thing, did it happen often before as well? Occasionally. It's a prank that does happen. A prank, you say? But who would... After all, there's only Genji-san and I here. You know? Who would be here besides us? Of course it was not me. Then, did you do this, Genji-san? It doesn't make any sense at all. Then, what does it mean? Who did this? We should not try to think too much about it. Just be silent and tidy it up. Do never reveal this to anyone. Of course, it includes Master Kinzo-sama, Master Kraus, Madame, and, naturally, my lady as well. Cannon will be punished later. I'll never say a word, so please, tell me. Then, Genji-san, will you tell me that this was done by Beatrice? Don't speak of that name recklessly. Why? The servants who calls that name recklessly, for whatever reason, don't last long here. Goda, your cooking skills are highly appreciated by Madame. It'd be troublesome if you were to quit. That sounded like a small threat, and at the same time it seemed like he said that he half understood that this was done by Beatrice-sama. These strange cases, perhaps they are not limited to the case of the gardening storehouse, and every time they happen, they are dealt with before they are noticed by the people of the family and are covered up. There's no doubt. I won't speak carelessly ever again, so please tell me. I think it is. In the previous cases, there were even more incomprehensible incidents, in a clearly impossible form for a human being. What kind of thing? A young servant who was doing the night round saw a golden butterfly and went after it. Upon arriving at the back door she had already closed, she lost sight of it and gave up. If I'm not mistaken, when you see a golden butterfly, you're not supposed to go after it, right? Yes. And when she turned around, a magic circle like this one had been drawn on that whole wall there. Eh? Then that young servant followed after the golden butterfly, gave up, and when she turned around, it was already drawn there? Is that what you mean? In the gap of a mere few seconds, when she was with the back turned to the wall? she would not have overlooked the wall like that. She strongly asserts that nothing was drawn on the wall at first. No way, you're kidding me. Wasn't that a joke of the servants? She contacted me and I came to help her to erase that. It had a complicated pattern. It's definitely not something you'd be able to draw in a few seconds. And also, I definitely don't think it'd be something you'd overlook. That servant had a high fever immediately after that, was hospitalized, and had to retire. After that, it seems she returned to her hometown. She never contacted with us afterwards. This is absurd. No, maybe even that was an advanced prank as well. Or rather, that young servant must be the culprit behind the prank, and by doing that, she made fun of everybody. Something like this. Indeed, that point of view might be valid. Now, let's stop with the chattering. However, I myself had a first-hand experience with something definitely impossible for a human being. Eh? What was it? Genji-san saw us talking there, and after a long silence, he ignored me and resumed the cleaning. Genji-san, who was thoroughly serious regarding work and, in that sense, a very pragmatic person, keeps silence only when it comes to Beatrice-sama. Genji-san's silence tells me that the witch is real in a much more eloquent way than a billion words. We finished all the cleaning. Even if we tell anyone that such a weird totem pole and magic circle were in the kitchen, nobody would ever believe it. Genji-san, for the second time, warned me not to tell about it to anyone. I tried to forcibly erase the events of that night from my brain by soaking my brains in strong alcohol. And then, a long time passed, and I've concluded that was as a bad taste joke from somebody, possibly. But even now, sometimes, it's dreadful. First thing in the morning after I wake up, I enter the kitchen to prepare the breakfast. At that time, I get frightened if something like the cookware piled up in an eerie way again. I should not remember about it. At any rate, I hope I will never have to go through such an eerie experience like that again. G. Toshiro. Too bad. We'll go through that again. Well, isn't that nice, Beatrice? Umineko no Nakakoto ni Tsubasa. And I believe that is the final one. We've gone through all of the little side stories. Postscript? This is the last of this souvenir. I'd be happy if you could enjoy it. There are various types of fragments. Infinite possibilities exist within the cat box. Perhaps, if you stick your hand inside, you can still find plenty. But for now, many fragments have gathered here. If there's a fragment you still wish to see, I hope you continue to search for it. Jump into the cat box and search for the endless possibilities. If you're courageous enough to hunt for the fragment you wish for, you can consider yourself one of us. My companions will call you a voyager witch. Land witches can only sift by a beach and wait for fragments to flow towards them. But we, on the other hand, are different. Go on a voyage through the sea of fragments and into the cat box. Find a fragment undiscovered by anyone and put it in your pocket. But be aware, fragments aren't the only thing found in this sea. A number of forgeries created by false authors also drift there. Some are humorous and some are shocking, while others are sensational and will make you shudder. It's a privilege of ours that we can gather fragments like these, which will never reach land. On the contrary, we can also come up with new forgeries and cast them into the sea as well. If, with some luck, our forgeries reach land, then the witches sitting at the beach might scramble over them. It's very amusing to think about. There seem to be many witches who enjoy creating forgeries rather than searching for fragments. Beatrice's game has already ended, and the board has been closed. Even so, there are witches still seated in the audience who won't get up and give their applause. Are you a land witch, waiting for fragments to flow from the beach? Or maybe you're a Voyager witch. Of course, I don't mind either way. If we could reunite somewhere, it would be nice to be here, in the sea of fragments. Now then, the souvenir is at its end. Farewell, land witches. And you too, Voyager witches. Let's meet again, sometime in the future. Stuff. I can't read that. Scripto die. Naste. Molly, all season. And scriptor. Effecto. 45 die. M. Zaki, pre-holder SB Una ZTS. Aki Yamani. Smi. Pureko. Raku. Ikido. Nakao. The Japanese is rusty. Lucky, Cap, Round Booster Architecture. Pion, Round Booster Architecture. Ryuga, Neil, Silver Forest. Bit, Silver Forest. Kana, Silver Forest. Udai. Special Sangsu. 5 PP, Hobby Box, Uyata. Yeah, I can't read it all. 7th expansion. Umineko Kodo ni Tsubasa. Welcome to Rockanjima. When They Cry 4. Plus, I guess. 7th expansion. And that would be all of it. Anyway, that's also a good time to stop. That, I guess, honestly concludes the Umineko stuff we're going to be doing. On some other small bit that I can do later. But we are going to change it up, and I'm going to shift over into Night on the Oberdin for the time being. Shake it up, give a different type of mystery exploration adventure. And we'll figure that out later. I'm going to work at some schedule calculations. I don't want to have to miss a day like I did yesterday, but I'll figure it out. Anyway, it was an interesting and nice adventure to go on. I enjoyed that. I did. Anyway, see you guys later. Have a good one. Take care.